My daughter looked at the invitation and said, "Dad, it's better if you don't come. Mark is paying for everything, and it would be awkward." I said nothing for a long moment. I just looked at her. She was standing in my kitchen, one hand on her hip, the other holding a glossy card that belonged in a magazine. Gold script. A photograph of her and her husband, both smiling like they'd won something. The date was printed in elegant letters. Saturday, March 15th, 2025. 2 weeks away. I had bought a gift. A small one. A little wooden rocking horse I'd found at a flea market, restored over 3 weekends in my garage. I'd sanded every inch, applied 3 coats of linseed oil, and stitched a tiny cushion myself. It wasn't expensive, but it was the only thing I knew how to give that meant something. Emily didn't even look at it. "It's a country club," she said. Very formal. "Mark's firm is sponsoring the whole thing." Mark, my ex-wife's husband, the real estate developer with the house in Lake Forest and the white Mercedes, and the habit of calling me the history teacher like it was a punchline. "I understand," I said. She shifted her weight. "He's excited. It's his first grandchild, practically." "Your mother said the same thing." "Mom just wants everyone to get along, Dad." But Mark's paying for everything. The venue, the catering, the decorations. It's nearly 40 people, and he's nervous. He doesn't want any tension. I waited, so it would just be easier if he didn't come. The words hung in the air between us. She looked at her shoes. She waited for me to object, to argue, to plead. I did none of those things. "Okay," I said. She looked up, surprised. "I'll send a gift," I said. "I already have something ready." She smiled, relieved. "Thanks, Dad. That's really thoughtful." If you're hearing this story and it stirs something in you, I'd ask you to hit subscribe to Hidden Truth Revenge. Sometimes the quiet ones have the loudest answers. Emily left my house at 7:58 in the morning, 2 minutes early. She always ran early when she was nervous. The door clicked shut. Her car started. She drove away. I stood in my kitchen for a long time. Then I walked to my bedroom closet. Not the one with my coats and shoes, the other one. The narrow one where I kept my tax documents and old grade books. I pulled a cardboard box from the top shelf. It was heavy. Inside was a blue folder. Inside that folder was a statement from a bank I'd opened an account at 20 years ago. I had been saving $200 a month. Every single month. For 20 years. 240 months. Never missed one, not even the year my car broke down and I ate peanut butter for 3 months. It was supposed to be a secret, a surprise for when the baby was born. A way to say, I was here, I was always here. I pulled the statement out. I looked at the balance. Then I walked to my desk, found a pen, and wrote a short note. I sealed it in an envelope. I addressed it to Emily's house, not the country club. I wanted her to open it that morning before the shower, while Mark was setting up his $3,000 stroller and his matching crib. I drove to the post office. I mailed it. I didn't make a copy, didn't take a photo. I said nothing. I just mailed a gift that would change everything. I started noticing the little things. First, it was Christmas. I had the tree up by December 1st, the way I always did. The same ornaments Emily had made in elementary school, the popsicle stick snowflakes, the clay handprints with the year painted on. I called her in early November. "Emily, what are your plans for Christmas?" "I'm doing the usual dinner on the 24th. There was a pause. That small hesitation that told me everything before she even spoke. "Actually, Dad, Mark is renting a house up in Lake Geneva for the whole week. Mum and I are going. It's a big place, lots of room, right on the lake. It would be really great if you could come up for a day or two." She said it like it was an invitation, like she was being generous by opening the door a crack. I knew what it really was. She was telling me where she would be, and it wasn't at my house. "I'll think about it," I said. I didn't go. I spent Christmas Eve alone with a frozen lasagna in the television. I told myself it was fine. She was 23 years old. She had her own life, but I noticed. Then came the graduation. College. 4 years I'd helped pay for. Not all of it. I couldn't afford that on a teacher's salary, but I sent what I could. $500 a semester, sometimes $1,000 at the start of the year. It wasn't much, but it was consistent. The day she graduated, Mark showed up in a leased Mercedes with a red bow on the hood. A used luxury car, $25,000. He parked it right in front of the auditorium. Emily screamed. She hugged him. She hugged her mother. She took photos with the car. I gave her a leather photo album. Handmade by a guy I knew who did bookbinding as a hobby. It had my mother's handwriting on the first page, a note she'd left me before she died. I'd transferred it into the album. I thought it was meaningful. Emily smiled when she opened it. She said it was beautiful. She put it in the trunk of Mark's car. I never saw it again. Little things. One after another, year after year. Emily's birthday dinners at restaurants Mark picked. Family vacations she took with them to Florida and Cabo. I got the phone calls, the photos texted to me. Look at the beach, Dad. Look at the pool. Aren't you proud of me? I was proud, but I was also invisible. The baby announcement came in a group text. Emily sent it to me, Mark, Linda, and about 15 other people. A sonogram photo, a heart emoji, and the words, "Baby girl, due April 2025. I replied, "Congratulations, sweetheart. I'm so happy for you." Mark replied, "Can't wait to spoil her. I remember staring at those 5 words. Can't wait to spoil her. He meant with money. With expensive things. With the kind of gifts that come wrapped in shiny paper and leave no lasting mark. I started thinking about the account in my bedroom closet. The one I'd opened 20 years earlier when Emily was born. The day I held her in the hospital, that tiny wrinkled face, those closed eyes, I made a promise. I couldn't give her a mansion or a sports car. But I could give her something that lasted. I walked to the closet. I pulled down the shoebox. Inside was the bank statement for the 529 plan I'd set up the week she was born. $200 a month, every single month. Not a single withdrawal, not one missed deposit, not even the year my car broke down and I ate peanut butter for 3 months. $200 times 12 months equals $2,400 a year. $2,400 times 20 years equals $48,000. The account had grown with interest, with careful index fund investments, to over $60,000. It was supposed to be a secret, a surprise for when the baby was born. A way to say, I was here, I was always here. But here she was, telling me not to come to her baby shower because Mark was paying for the punch and the petite fours. Because Mark's presence was more important than mine. Because Mark's money bought her comfort, and my presence bought her awkwardness. I looked at the statement. I thought about the 2 decades of deposits. The sacrifice wasn't the money, it was the discipline. $200 a month out of a teacher's paycheck, month after month, year after year, while I drove a car with a check engine light that never turned off and wore shoes that had been resoled twice. She had no idea. I had been saving for 20 years. $200 a month. Every single month. And she had no idea. The doorbell rang at 2:17 p.m. on Saturday, March the 5th, 2025. I knew it would be Sarah before I even opened the door. The baby shower was scheduled for noon, punch at 12:30, gifts at 1. She was early. She was always early when she had news. I opened the door and she was standing there with her phone in her hand and a look I couldn't quite read. Not satisfaction, not pity, something in between. You better sit down, she said. I didn't sit. I just stepped aside and let her in. She walked to my kitchen table and put her phone down on the wood surface. Then she started talking fast, like she was trying to get it all out before she forgot. They opened gifts at 1:15, she said. Emily sat in this big white chair with a gold bow on the back. Mark had set up a table just for his presents. There were 6 of them. 6. I poured her a glass of water. She took it but didn't drink. The first box was a stroller, she said. A luxury stroller. British brand. Cost more than my rent, I think. Everyone clapped. Then a crib. Then a changing table. Then a car seat. Each one more expensive than the last. Mark was standing behind Emily with his arms crossed, nodding, like he was accepting applause for every gift. She finally took a sip of water. Then your envelope arrived. I felt my chest tighten. I didn't say anything. Emily opened it last, Sarah said, because it was an envelope, not a box. She almost set it aside. But your name was on the return address, and the woman next to her said, "Oh, who's that from?" So she opened it. Sarah pulled up a photo on her phone. She turned the screen toward me. It was a picture of a piece of paper, a bank statement. My bank statement, the 529 plan, balance $60,312. My God, I whispered. Your God had nothing to do with it, Sarah said. You did that. $200 a month for 20 years. She swiped to the next photo, a close-up of the note I had written. I started this the day you were born. It's for her now. I love you, Dad. Sarah said. Emily read it out loud. I sat down. She read the balance out loud, Sarah said. $60,000. Her voice cracked on the 60. The whole room went quiet. You could hear the ice melting in the punch bowl. I stared at the photos. Mark tried to save it, Sarah said. He said, "Well, that's very generous of your father," like he was patting a child on the head. But everyone saw the number, and everyone did the math. Mark's stroller was a purchase. Your fund was a sacrifice. Sarah leaned forward. Emily started crying, she said. Not happy crying, not sad crying either. The kind of crying you do when you realize you've made a terrible mistake and you can't undo it. She asked for your gift, your wooden rocking horse. She opened it next, and she held that little wooden horse like it was made of gold, and she said, "He made this. My dad made this with his own hands." I put my hand over my mouth. Linda was furious, Sarah said. She tried to get everyone to go back to the buffet line. But nobody wanted to eat. Everyone wanted to talk about the teacher who saved $60,000 for a baby that wasn't even born yet. My phone buzzed on the table. Emily's name. I looked at Sarah. She nodded. I answered. "Dad?" Her voice was wrecked, hoarse, like she'd been crying for an hour. "Dad, why didn't you tell me?" I took a breath. "I just wanted you to know who was there from the start," I said. She started sobbing, full, heaving sobs. The kind that say words someone needs to say but can't get out. "Dad, I'm so sorry I told you not to come. I'm so sorry I made you feel." "Emily." She stopped. "You didn't make me feel anything," I said. "I made a choice. 20 years ago, I made a choice, and I stuck with it. That's all. I owe you." "You don't owe me anything. The fund is for my granddaughter. Not for you. You don't get to spend it. You don't get to touch it. It's hers." She was quiet for a long time. "I want to see you," she said. "Okay." "I want you to meet her. I want her to know you." "Okay," I said again. "Dad?" "Yes." "I'm sorry about the Christmas. I'm sorry about the car. I'm sorry about the photo album." I closed my eyes. "I'll be here," I said. "When you're ready." I hung up. Sarah was watching me with her arms folded. "You're too calm," she said. "No," I said. "I'm not too calm. I'm exactly as calm as I need to be." She smiled. A small, knowing smile. "What happens now?" she asked. I looked at the photos on her phone, the bank statement, the note, the rocking horse. "Now," I said, "we see if Mark can talk his way out of a $60,000 shadow." My phone buzzed again, a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was a photo, a woman holding the statement crying. Underneath it, a message, "You ruined my baby shower. Congratulations." I was sitting at my kitchen table when the doorbell rang. It was Monday, March 17, 2025, 4:47 in the afternoon. I knew who it was before I opened the door. Mark stood on my porch in a $1,000 jacket. His face was red. His jaw was tight. He didn't wait for an invitation. "Did you think that was funny?" he said. I stepped back. "Let him in. I think you better come inside." He walked past me into my living room, looked around at my modest furniture like it offended him. "The baby shower, your little stunt. Did you think that was funny?" "I didn't think it was funny," I said. "I thought it was truthful." "Truthful," he laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "You sent a letter, a bank statement, at my event, in front of 40 people. Your event," I said. "Everything was on me. The venue, the catering, the gifts. I spent $3,500 on a stroller and crib. Do you know what Linda and I put into that shower?" "I know what you put into that shower," I said. "And I know what I put into my granddaughter's future." He stepped closer. "You think $60,000 impresses anyone? I make that in 2 months." I didn't move. "Then you won't mind that I matched it." "Matched it," he spat the word. "You embarrassed me. You made me look like the bad guy." "I didn't make you look like anything," I said. "You did that yourself." His hands were shaking. He pointed a finger at my chest. "You're a petty, bitter man who couldn't provide for his family, so he tries to upstage the man who could." I walked to the kitchen drawer, pulled out a folder. I'd been expecting this visit. "Mark," I said, "sit down." He didn't sit, but he stopped moving. I opened the folder. Spread the papers across the table. 20 years of bank statements. Okay, every single one, starting from June 2005. This is the account, I said, a 59 plan. Open the day Emily was born, $200 a month. Every month. For 240 months. I pointed to the first statement. June 2005. Deposit, $200. Balance, $200. Then the next, July 2005. Deposit, $200. Balance, $400. I kept going, month by month. August 2005. September, October, November. He stared at the papers, said nothing. 20 years, I said. $200 a month. While you were making your millions, I was putting aside what I could. While you were buying leased Mercedes and vacation rentals, I was clipping coupons and driving a 12-year-old car. You're a teacher, he said, almost a whisper. I'm a teacher, I said, and I saved every month. Through the divorce, through the years she didn't call, through Christmas at your lake house and graduations at your country club. I saved. He picked up one of the statements, held it like it might bite him. $200 a month is $6,400 in contributions, I said. Add the interest over 20 years, the market returns. You're looking at $60,312. You started this when she was born, he said, before you even knew she'd have children. I started it because she was my daughter, I said. And I knew that one day, if she had children, I wanted them to know their grandfather was there. From the beginning, he put the statement down. His face had lost its red. It was pale now. You could have told us, he said. You could have said something. Would you have listened? He didn't answer. Would you have stopped buying the stroller? The crib? Would you have let Emily know her father was already providing before you swept in with your credit card? His eyes stayed on the papers. You wanted to be the hero, Mark. I understand. You wanted to be the one who gave her everything. But you can't buy 20 years of history. You can't buy a father who put $200 a month aside for a grandchild he wouldn't meet for 2 decades. He looked at me. His eyes were wet. I'm not trying to compete with you, I said. I'm not trying to be the villain or the martyr. I'm just trying to be her father, and that means showing her that love isn't measured in what you buy. It's measured in what you give up. He stood there for a long moment, then he walked to the door. You ruined everything, he said. You know that. My marriage, my relationship with Emily, all of it. I didn't ruin anything, I said. I just told the truth. You're the one who built your life on a lie. He left. The door clicked shut. I heard his car start, then the sound of tires on pavement. I stood in my living room. The statement was still on the table. 240 months of deposits. 240 acts of faith. My phone rang. I looked at the screen. Linda, I answered. Hello, Linda. David. Her voice was ice. Mark just called me. He's devastated. I'm sure he is. How dare you send that letter to the shower? How dare you make a scene? I didn't make a scene, I said. I sent a gift. A college fund for my granddaughter. That's all. That's all, her voice rose. You humiliated him. In front of everyone, you made him look like he wasn't providing. He wasn't providing, I said. He was buying. There's a difference. David, she took a breath. This is petty. Mark has done so much for Emily. The car, the house, the wedding she'll eventually have. Why can't you just be happy for her? I looked at the statements on the table. The stack of paper that represented half my adult life. I am happy for her, I said. I'm thrilled she has a comfortable life. But I've done something too, and now she knows. You've done something too, Linda repeated. You sent a letter. You think that makes you a hero? No, I said. I think it makes me her father. And 55 years on this earth has taught me that being a father means showing up, even when you're not invited. She was silent. If you want to call me petty, I said, go ahead. But I've been saving for that child since before Emily could walk. I've been putting money aside when I couldn't afford to. I've been her father when you and Mark made me feel like an inconvenience. David. Goodbye, Linda. I hung up. I stood in my kitchen. The sun was setting through the window. The statements glowed in the orange light. For 20 years, while I drove a 12-year-old car, while I ate leftovers for dinner, while I watched my daughter drift away from me. And now, they knew. I said, I know, but I've done something too. And now she knows. The phone rang at 7,1/3 in the morning. I was at the kitchen table with my coffee. The caller ID said Emily. I let it ring 3 times. Then I picked up. Dad? I'm here. She was crying. Not the controlled sobbing from the shower phone call. This was messy. She said, Dad, the baby's due in 5 weeks. I don't have a crib. Mark's stroller got returned. His card declined. He said he needs to consolidate some debts. I waited. Dad, I'm scared. I need $600. Just for the basics. A bassinet. Some diapers. Formula. Please. I looked at my coffee. The steam was still rising. I said, the college fund is for my grandchild. Not for you. She went quiet. What? Emmy, listen to me. I have been paying child support since you were born. I contributed to your college tuition every semester. I bought your groceries when you were in your apartment. I didn't miss a single payment, not one. I know, Dad. Do you? Because the minute Mark showed up with money, you stopped calling. You stopped visiting. You told me not to come to your baby shower because it would be awkward. Awkward, Emily, for the man who raised you. She said, I'm sorry, I've been trying to fix this. I know you have, but fixing this doesn't mean I start writing checks again. But the baby. The baby is not your ATM. The college fund is for her education. That money stays in the account. You won't touch it. Not for a bassinet, not for diapers, not for anything. Then what am I supposed to do? I set the coffee down. I said, Emily, I am your father. I will always be your father. And I will be a grandfather to that little girl. I will visit her. I will read to her. I will take her to the park. But I will not be your bank account anymore. Her voice broke. What does that mean? It means no more money, no more funding your lifestyle, no more bailing you out when Mark's credit takes a hit. You chose a life with him. You live with that choice. Dad, please. No. The word hung in the air. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. She said, can we at least talk? Can we just try to be a family again? I thought about it. I thought about the photo album she put in Mark's trunk. The Christmas she spent at the lake house. The car he bought her. The way she looked at me when she said it would be awkward. I said, I'm willing to meet, but on my terms. What terms? We meet at a neutral place, a coffee shop. We talk about the baby, nothing else, no money. No asking for help, just me and you and your daughter. And then what? Then we see? She was crying again. Okay, I can do that. Good. I hung up. The clock said 7,022, 5 weeks until the baby arrived. I didn't know if Emily would show up to that coffee shop. I didn't know if she'd bring Mark. I didn't know anything. But I knew one thing. The college fund was for my grandchild, not for her. If she wanted a relationship with me, it would be on my terms. Without Mark's money as a buffer, without her handout. And I would sit in that coffee shop and look at my daughter and ask her one question. She just didn't know it yet. The months after that call were quiet, not peaceful. It's quiet. There's a difference. Spring turned into summer. I graded papers, mowed my lawn, visited my mother in the nursing home every Thursday. Normal life. The kind of life where you don't think about baby showers or bank statements or the look on your ex-wife's face when she realized what you'd done. But I thought about Emily every day. I didn't call her. She didn't call me. The ball was in her court, and she knew it. Then one Tuesday in late June, Sarah called me at the library where I was reshelving books on the Civil War. You're not going to believe this, she said. I rarely do when you start a conversation that way. Linda left Mark. I stopped with a book halfway to the shelf. What? Sarah from the dry cleaners told me she does Linda's alterations. Said Linda came in with a $1,000 dress and told her she needed it for divorce court. Sarah, that's gossip. It's not gossip. My cousin works at the law firm handling it. Mark had been hiding assets, $200,000 in a separate account. And an affair, a real estate agent in Naperville. 18 months. I sat down on the library step stool. The book stayed in my hand. Are you sure? Linda found the account statements in his home office. She hired a private investigator. The affair was the tip of the iceberg, David. The man hid money from her for years. Their whole marriage was built on a foundation of lies. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, Emily? I asked. Emily hasn't spoken to Mark since she found out. She moved out of the apartment. She's staying with a friend from work. Where's the baby? With Emily. The baby's fine. She's healthy. Emily's struggling, but she's not letting Mark near her. I hung up and stared at the Civil War book in my hands. Gettysburg. The turning point. One moment where everything shifted and nobody in the battle knew it until days later. I thought about that college fund, $60,000. 20 years of sacrifice. And Mark, with his lake house and his Mercedes and his $200,000 hidden dollars, had destroyed his own marriage without me lifting a finger. I didn't wish for it, but I wasn't sorry it happened. A week later, I was in my backyard, watering the tomato plants I'd put in late that spring. The garden hose hissed against the dry dirt. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the grass. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. The screen said Emily. I let it ring 3 times. Then 4. I watched the water pool around the base of a tomato plant. I answered on the 5th ring. Hello, Emily? Dad. Her voice was small, not the confident marketing manager who told me not to come to her baby shower, not the woman who'd asked for $600 at 7 in the morning, a smaller voice, a tired voice. Dad, can we talk? I'm listening. Not on the phone, in person, please. I turned off the hose. The water dripped from the nozzle onto the grass. What about? Everything. The baby, Mark, Mom, you, me. She paused. I heard her breathing. Dad, can we start over? I leaned against my fence. The wood was warm from the sun. I looked at my house, my modest 2-bedroom house with the cracked driveway and the overgrown bushes. The house that didn't have a lake house. The house that didn't have a country club membership. The house where I'd saved $200 a month for 20 years. I'll meet you at the coffee shop on Main Street, I said. The one with the blue awning. When? Saturday, 3 o'clock. Okay. But we talk about the baby, nothing else. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, okay, I can do that. I'll see you Saturday. Dad? Yes? Thank you for answering. I didn't say anything. I hung up and looked at my tomato plants. They were growing, slowly, the way good things do. The way trust does, if you water it enough. I went inside and sat at my kitchen table. The clock said 7:42. Saturday was 4 days away. I didn't know if Emily would show up. I didn't know if she'd bring Mark or her mother or a list of demands. But I knew one thing. I would sit at that coffee shop. I would look at my daughter. And I would ask her one question she didn't know was coming. On Saturday, I arrived at the coffee shop at 2048. 12 minutes early. I ordered a black coffee and took a seat by the window where I could see the door. The place had a blue awning just like she'd described. Wooden tables. A chalkboard menu. The kind of place where nobody rushes you. At 3001, the door opened. Emily walked in alone. No Mark. No Linda. Just her, wearing a loose sweater and carrying a diaper bag on one shoulder. She looked tired. The kind of tired that goes deeper than missing sleep. She spotted me and stopped for half a second. Then she walked over and sat down across from me. Hi, Dad. Hi, Em. She didn't order anything. She just sat there with her hands on the table, twisting a napkin into a rope. I waited. I've learned that silence is a gift. It lets people fill it with what they actually need to say. She said, I don't know where to start. How about the baby? She let out a breath. Her name is Sophie. She's 2 months old now. She has your nose. Everyone says so. Something in my chest loosened. I said, I'd like to meet her someday. You could meet her today if you want. She's in the car with Jen. I waited again. She twisted the napkin tighter. Dad, I'm sorry. She looked up. Her eyes were wet. I'm sorry about the shower. I'm sorry about Christmas. I'm sorry about the photo album. I'm sorry about every time I made you feel like you didn't matter. Tell me what you're sorry for, I said. Not the list. The reason. She pressed her lips together. Because you were there. Every single time. And I acted like it didn't count. Her voice cracked on the last word. I chose the man who bought me a car over the man who paid my tuition. I chose the vacation house over the man who made me breakfast every Saturday for 18 years. She reached into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She unfolded it and pushed it across the table. It was the bank statement, the one from the envelope. The creases were soft, like she'd opened and refolded it many times. "I've looked at this every day," she said. $60,000, $200 a month, 240 months, she tapped the paper. "You started this the day I was born. You didn't know if I'd ever have kids. You didn't know if I'd even want them. But you saved anyway. For 20 years. 20 years, I said. Actually, 20 years and 9 months. I started in June. You were born in September." She stared at me. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" "Because it wasn't for you. It was for your daughter. I didn't want you to feel obligated. I wanted it to be a gift, not a debt." She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "Gah!" "Mum told me what you said to Mark, about sacrifice being quiet." She shook her head. "I never saw it. I saw the cracked driveway and the 12-year-old car and the same 3 suits for teaching. I thought, that's all you had." "It is all I had," I said, "but it was enough." She was crying now, quietly, the way you do in public when you don't want to draw attention but you can't stop. "Dad, I need to tell you something." She took a breath. "Mark and I don't talk anymore. Mum divorced him. He cleaned out the accounts, the house, the cars, everything. It's all gone." "I know," I said. "Sarah told me." "He called me last week, asked if I could loan him $5,000. She let out a bitter laugh. "The man who used to make $60,000 in 2 months. He's broke. He lost everything." I said nothing. There was nothing to say. Karma doesn't need a cheerleader. She leaned forward. "I'm not asking you for anything. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for help. I'm asking if you want to be in Sophie's life." I looked at her for a long moment. She looked small. Not like a woman, like the girl who used to hold my hand crossing the street. "I'll always be her grandfather," I said. "Hey! But I won't be your ATM anymore." She flinched, but she nodded. "I know," she said. "That's not what I'm asking." "Then yes, I want to meet Sophie. I want to take her to the park. I want to teach her how to ride a bike. I want to make her breakfast on Saturday mornings. But the money in that account stays in that account. It's for her education, not for your rent. Not for Mark's mistakes, not for emergencies." "I understand," she said it softly. "Show me where I sign." I almost smiled. She'd said it the way I used to say it when she was little. When I was teaching her that actions have consequences. That words mean things. I took out a napkin and borrowed a pen from the barista. I wrote 5 words. "I will be a grandfather." Not a bank. I slid it across the table. She read it, nodded, and signed it with my pen. "Your penmanship is terrible," I said. She laughed. It was wet and shaky and full of relief. "I got it from you." We sat there for another hour. She showed me pictures of Sophie on her phone. A tiny wrinkled face with a tuft of dark hair. The nose was mine. The chin was too. I told her about the rocking horse I'd finished in my garage. She said she still had it. Said it was in Sophie's room. Said it was the only wooden thing Mark hadn't sold. At 4017, she went out to the car and came back with Sophie in her arms. A car seat carrier with a pink blanket and 2 small eyes looking up at the world. She handed her to me. I held my granddaughter for the first time. She weighed nothing and everything. She looked at me with the kind of trust that only babies have. The kind that hasn't been broken yet. "Hello, Sophie," I said. "I'm your grandfather. I've been saving up for you for a long time." Emily watched us. Her eyes were red, but she was smiling. A real smile, the kind from before. When I handed Sophie back, Emily hugged me. She hugged me hard, the way she used to when she was 7 and I'd pick her up from school. I hugged her back, but I didn't hold on too long. Because I meant what I said. I would be a grandfather. I would not be a bank. We said goodbye at the door. She promised to bring Sophie by next Saturday. I said I'd make pancakes. I walked to my car and sat for a minute. The sky was turning orange. The air smelled like fall. I thought about the way things had gone. Not the way I planned, but maybe the way they needed to. Because the measure of a father isn't how much he's willing to give away. It's how much he's willing to keep and still give enough. And I'd given enough. I'd given everything I had. And now, for the first time in 20 years, I didn't need to worry about the future. I'd done my part. The next deposit was a choice, not an obligation. I started the engine and drove home. The tomato plants were waiting. Saturday was coming. And for the first time in a long time, I was looking forward to it. Thanks for listening. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. It helps more than you know.